Hello, and welcome back to the Bible Library on this Friday. Thanks for being with us. We are now going to be exploring. It's kind of funny, we're ending the week. We're ending the New Testament, actually, and we're going into the Old Testament. And I got the gray shirt on today, so you know what that means. We got a little background information before proceeding into some of our book summaries and matchmakings that we've been doing. We're entering the Old Testament. The Old Testament begins with a section it's referred to as the Pentateuch. That's the word, by the way, Pentateuch. What on earth is a Pentateuch? Well, if I have any Greek scholars, Penta, right? Like the Pentagon, 5, Penta, okay? Tuch. What could Tuch be? What are we talking about, right? And this library is full of books. 5, Penta, Tuch, books. So yeah, this is the 5 books that start the Old Testament. As the Hebrew faith refers to them, in Hebrew, it's the Torah. Now somebody say, hold on, I thought all scripture in Hebrew faith was Torah. Yes, that is Torah, but this is the Torah, if you will, like the Ohio State. Anyway, so these books are the most important books in the Hebrew faith. Again, all scripture is important, just like it kind of is like with us with the Gospels. All these scripture that we have is important. They proclaim God's law and gospel. They're vital to our understanding of faith, right? But we preach more on and teach more on the Gospels. So the ones that have sort of the highest usage. That's what the Torah is in the Hebrew faith. So these are very important books for us as well then. Think about what happens. The 5 books, we have Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. So, hope you guessed those with me. In Genesis, right, obviously Genesis, we have the beginning, not the band. The beginning of all of creation is the world as we've come to know it. What a place to start, right? We have, continuing in Genesis, we have people, famous figures, right, from our faith. Noah, Cain and Abel, and Noah. We have Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, among others. A very, very dense book. A lot happens in the book of Genesis, right? So already we have just generations of people. And in fact, the Old Testament will let you know. So-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so, right? These books are covering a longer period of time. The New Testament only covered 2, maybe 3 generations of the faithful. This is covering many, many generations of God's people. Let alone the Old Testament, obviously, is thousands of years, but the Torah alone is quite a few. So we got Genesis, and Exodus. This guy named Moses, you may have heard of him. He leads the people out of Egypt. In Exodus, they're really clever with naming these, huh? But yes, in Exodus, we have the 10 Commandments in there. Very, very important parts of Scripture. Then we begin the wandering in the wilderness. We have Leviticus, which is, we'll get to Leviticus. It's a lot of law. We'll get there next week. But look forward to it. It'll be a book unlike any other, kind of. Numbers, which I think Numbers is very criminally underrated. Great narratives, interesting law together. Interesting book. Very underrated. Poor Numbers. And then Deuteronomy, which kind of rounds out the group, sets up some Deuteronomic history going forward, and lots of more law. So we'll dive into all of this. There's just a great, it's a great sections of books that is very rich. So many of these overview videos, like third John, I feel like I could pretty much cover that in the 4-minute video. I'm not going to be able to cover Genesis in 4 minutes. I'm going to give you a setup at best. It's up to you to read these now. But yeah, so I hope that this was helpful. These books, and remember, we have been doing the Greek, and now we're going to be looking at Hebrew words, so it'll be kind of fun. Oh, and why on earth, maybe a question you're coming up with, why do we call it the Pentateuch and the Torah? Why is there 2 names? when the Greeks, when the Christians went back to translate the Old Testament, realizing, hey, these scriptures are really important. Obviously, Paul references them, the Gospels reference them, some of these epistles reference them. This is the story of God's people. We should study this too. A lot of them didn't speak Hebrew. And so they translated it into Greek, and thus Septuagint is the Greek translation, and Pentateuch is the Greek word to describe that section. So the Christian church called it the Septuagint for the longest time because they didn't know Hebrew very well. But yes, fortunately, Christians, we do know it pretty well now. So you can call it either. Pentateuch, Torah. My confirmands will know those very well by the time we're all said and done. Anyway, I think that in these books too, we'll go into next week. It worked really nicely. I wish I could say I planned it this way. I didn't, but I'll take the credit that we have this week of just the Torah, just 5 days, 5 books. So we'll dive into each one. But as a whole, I think you can look forward to books that are pivotal and insanely rich for our faith. So I look forward to our studying them together and matchmaking next week, and I hope you have a good weekend.